with you today. Thank you for coming out. Let me tell you how proud I am. How proud I am to be standing with patriots like Bob Barr and Jack Kingston and Jody Heiss. Strong, principled warriors fighting for the Constitution. Let me tell you how proud I am to be standing with each of you. Standing with citizens who are rising to the challenge when our country is at risk. Right. Yeah. We all understand the stakes. America is in crisis. Our basic rights are under assault. Our kids and grandkids are being bankrupted. And America has receded from leadership in the world. And the world has become a much more dangerous place. But I'm here today with a word of hope and encouragement and exhortation. All across Georgia, all across this country, people are waking up. There is a spirit of awakening that is sweeping this nation. So I want to ask everyone here to look forward. Look forward to January 2017. If I'm elected president, let me tell you what I intend to do on the first day in office. The first thing I intend to do is rescind every single illegal and unconstitutional executive action taken by Barack Obama. The second thing I intend to do is instruct the U.S. Department of Justice to open an investigation into Planned Parenthood and prosecute any and all criminal violations. The third thing I intend to do on the first day in office is instruct the Department of Justice and the IRS and every other federal agency that the persecution of religious liberty ends today. The fourth thing I intend to do is rip to shreds this catastrophic Iranian nuclear deal. And the fifth thing I intend to do is begin the process of moving the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, the once and eternal capital of Israel. Now that's day one. In the days that follow, I will nominate and get confirmed a strong, principled constitutionalist to replace Justice Antonin Scalia in the U.S. You know, Justice Scalia's passing really underscored the stakes of this election. A week ago, I attended Justice Scalia's funeral. He was someone I had the privilege of knowing for 20 years. He was a brilliant man, a lion of the law, a ferocious defender of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And his passing underscores that this election is not about one branch of government, it is about two branches of government. Because we are one liberal justice away from a 5-justice left-wing majority, the likes of which this country's ever seen. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court taking away our fundamental religious liberty. One justice away from the Supreme Court ordering 10 Commandments monuments to be taken down all over this country. One justice away from the Supreme Court striking down every restriction on abortion and mandating unlimited abortion on demand all over this country. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court reading the Second Amendment out of the Bill of Rights and taking away our right to keep and bear arms. We are one justice away from the Supreme Court ordering veterans memorials to be torn down all over this country, and we're not far away from their ordering the chisels to come out to remove the crosses and stars of David from the tombstones of our fallen soldiers. I'll tell you, one of the most serious questions that the men and women of Georgia are asking themselves as they look at the individual standing on that debate stage is, who do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can trust to make Supreme Court nominations? And I give you my solemn commitment that every justice I put on the Supreme Court will be a principled constitutionalist who will be faithful to the law and who will vigorously protect the Bill of Rights for my children and for yours. In the days that follow, I will go to Congress and we will repeal every word of Obamacare. We will finally secure the borders and end sanctuary cities. We will rebuild the military. And we will honor our sacred commitments made to every soldier and sailor and airman and Marine. That includes fundamentally reforming the VA so that every veteran has the right to choose his or her doctor. And that also includes protecting the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms of every serviceman and woman. We will have a commander-in-chief who stands up to the world and says, we will defeat radical Islamic terrorism. We'll have a president willing to utter the words radical Islamic terrorism. And we will not weaken, we will not degrade, we will utterly and completely destroy ISIS. One of the most shameful things of the last 7 years has been the president sending our fighting men and women into combat with rules of engagement that tie their hands behind their back and make it impossible for them to win. Well, mark my words, in January 2017, that will end. America has always been reluctant to use military force. We're slow to anger. But if and when military force is required, we should use overwhelming force, kill the enemy, and then get the heck out.
That's right.
In the days that follow, I will take on the EPA and the CFPB and the alphabet soup of federal agencies that have descended like locusts on farmers and ranchers and small businesses, killing jobs all across the country. And I will go to Congress, and we will pass a simple flat tax. Where every American can fill out our taxes on a postcard. And when we do that, we should abolish the IRS. Now let me talk to the working men and women of Georgia. To all the people who are facing the lowest percentage of Americans working since 1977, who are facing the Obama stagnation, who are seeing wages stagnate, to all the single moms who have had their hours forcibly reduced to 28, 29 hours a week because Obamacare kicks in at 30 hours a week, to all the students coming out of school with mountains of student loan debt, afraid, am I going to get a job? What does the future hold for me? Will I have a career? Will I be able to provide for my family? Let me tell you, for 7 years, we've had Washington deal makers, people who cut deals and grow government and expand the power of Washington at the expense of the working men and women of this country. You know, in this Republican field, if you want another Washington deal maker, you've got choices on that stage. If you want someone who will go and cut deals with Barack Obama and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, you've got candidates who have done so and who promise to do so. But if you want someone who will stand up to Washington, ask yourself who actually has stood up to Washington. And let me tell the working men and women of Georgia, when we pull back the government regulations that are hammering small businesses, when we repeal Obamacare, when we pass a simple flat tax, you're going to see small businesses exploding. You're going to see millions of high-paying jobs. You're going to see wages going up. You're going to see young people coming out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job offers. That is the promise of America. Now, some of y'all may be thinking, can we do it?
Yes. Yes.
Can it happen?
Yes.
You know, Scripture tells us there's nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
I think where we are today is very, very much like the late 1970s, the Jimmy Carter administration. Same failed economic policies, same feckless and naive foreign policies. In fact, the exact same countries, Russia and Iran, openly laughing at and mocking the President of the United States. Now, why is it that that analogy gives me so much hope and optimism? Because we remember how that story ended. All across this country, millions of men and women rose up and became the Reagan Revolution. And it didn't come from Washington. Washington despised Ronald Reagan. It came from the American people, and it turned this country around. Why am I so optimistic? Because the same thing is happening again. People are waking up all over this country. Listen, we're just a few days away from Super Tuesday. The most important day in this entire election cycle. Super Tuesday, here Georgia is a battleground on Super Tuesday. Let me tell you where we are. We are neck and neck here in Georgia right now. That means this election is all about turnout. This election is all about turnout. You know, 65% of Republicans don't think Donald Trump is the right candidate to go up against Hillary Clinton. Don't think it makes sense for Republicans to nominate a candidate who has agreed with Hillary Clinton on issue after issue after issue, whether it's supporting partial birth abortion, or supporting John Kerry, or supporting Bernie Sanders-style socialized medicine and government being in charge of our health care. And so I would encourage the men and women of Georgia, if you're among those 65% who don't think Donald Trump is the right candidate, who recognize if we nominate Donald, we end up electing Hillary as president, then I ask you to stand with us, because what is abundantly clear is only one campaign has beaten and can beat Donald Trump, and that is us. This race here in Georgia is going to be decided by the men and women gathered here. I want to ask every one of you to vote for me 10 times. Now look, I'm not suggesting voter fraud. We're not Democrats. But if every one of you gets 9 other people to vote on Tuesday, you will have voted 10 times. And you know, if you're not yet old enough to vote, if you get 10 other people to come out and vote on Tuesday, you will have voted 10 times before you turn 18. That's how we win. This race will be decided friend to friend, pastor to pastor, neighbor to neighbor, Georgian to Georgian. One at a time, lifting this country up in prayer and standing together. And let me tell you, it took Jimmy Carter to give us Ronald Reagan. And I am convinced the most long-lasting legacy of Barack Obama is going to be a new generation of leaders in the Republican Party who stand and fight for liberty, who stand and fight for the Constitution, and who stand and fight for the Judeo-Christian values that built this great nation. Thank you, and God bless you.